Hey, today I'm actually answering a question from the Discord. So that's new. And today I'm going to be talking about whether or not self-publishing is a good idea and whether or not traditional publishing is a good idea. Basically just about those two. And before I get into it, I'm gonna be a YouTuber and tell you to like and subscribe and hit the bell thing. I feel so dirty, but please do that so you can help out our videos and never miss all this beautiful updatey stuff. And also check out the Kickstarter. There's 6 days left and it's self-posting, so very on brand. Thank you. Let us begin the actual talking thing. So let me first cover what I know about both sides of the publishing landscape. It's not much, honestly. I personally have only ever been self-published, but I am friends with a lot of people who have gone through traditional publishing, whether it be through small indie sort of publishing houses, or I know a few people who have gone into like the larger sort of like the big publishing houses too. I know some of them too. And that is basically where my understanding and where my knowledge base comes from. I don't have any personal experience with traditional publishing, but I do know I know a bit, okay? And I think the most important thing to understand when it comes to self-publishing and traditional publishing is that both can mean that you are successful or unsuccessful. Like, neither one is the correct way to do it, okay? And I think one of the biggest downsides of doing self-publishing in general is that it is very easy to feel unpublished and unworthy. I know there's issues with imposter syndrome even when you are published through a traditional house, but I know they are like super amplified as a self-published person, at least in my personal experience. I think looking at traditionally published creators, it's sort of like watching a caterpillar turn into a beautiful butterfly. Like there's this very defined moment in it where you go from being the unpublished author to the published one. And meanwhile, I think when you're slowly releasing a webcomic or even just a story on like Wattpad or something, and you're slowly putting these pages out and eventually you compile them into a book and sell them. Sometimes they're still available for free online, but you are also publishing like auxiliary sort of like for your true fans, like they might want a print book. Like even though you're technically published after that happens, it's sort of a slow process. And by the time that you have a book out, it doesn't feel as sort of special, as it doesn't feel as like defined, like black and white, published, unpublished. I mean, like it's an illusion, of course, and all the waiting progress and all of this change still happens for a traditionally published author, but it all happens sort of behind closed doors, behind like non-disclosure agreements where you're not really allowed to talk about your work. You wouldn't be allowed to be publishing chapters and getting feedback from your audience. So it's a very different feel. And by the time that you have a book out, it doesn't feel as real, and it's hard to explain, especially when you bring in the fact that it's very easy for someone to just hammer out a first draft, throw it onto a print on demand, and consider themselves published. And because that kind of exists in the self-publishing space, it's very easy to like not feel that your publication is real. No matter how many people buy it. Me personally, I didn't really feel published until I had Magpie out, like book 1 of Magpie. And even though I'd published 2 Pretty Mouth volumes at that point, it was just really easy to like invalidate my feelings as like a creator. It was easy to just be like, oh, that's just like my webcomic stuff, that doesn't count. I'm still holding out hope to get like traditionally published, or even just like I just want a bigger audience before I can think of this as real. And that eventually went away from me. And it doesn't mean that going to a publisher is like any better, okay? you really need to know what you gain out of going to a publisher. Okay, like, what do you gain? Publicity, editing, money, printing? What are you looking for? You might be surprised to hear, but like, a publisher isn't going to solve all of your problems. You aren't going to be guaranteed the publicity that you see from proven or popular, like, comic creator. You're not going to get same publicity as that, and in some cases you might not get much help at all. And that holds true for larger publishing houses and the smaller ones. There just might not be the resources to give you, and a lot of the stuff that you can do to help promote your traditionally published book are going to be the same sort of routes that you do through self-publishing. It may turn out great for you, but I've also heard a lot of people have had trouble getting the publicity that they need in their traditionally published work. It's not gone or anything. It's just, there's that issue. Like in the end, a lot of times you are still going to have to build your audience up as you would as a self-published author. And as you put out more books, you're going to gain momentum. That's true. And that's true to both sides, okay? Like, another issue of it is money, too. A lot of times when you publish a very small run of books on your own, like, it's going to net you the same amount of money as running a larger run of books with traditional publishing. And the reason that's going to happen is because you're going to have a cut that is a lot smaller when you're going through traditional publishing compared to if you do it on your own. And this is an even bigger consideration to have if you already have an audience of your own, especially a mid-sized audience. Like, if you have a very huge audience of people who want your work, it may be advantageous for you to go to a publisher and talk with them, because, you know, they're going to help you with distribution. You may have a wide enough audience that it's worth delegating all of those roles. Whereas if you have a mid-sized audience, you have enough people who are really interested in something, and it's still a very doable amount of books for you to print and deliver on. Like, you can make a lot more money on your own just by, like, selling your books, getting the larger cut, and just sort of dealing with that. Like, and all of this is to say, like, I'm coming across very harsh on traditional publishing, okay? But it's not because I don't see any benefits to traditional publishing. I think traditional publishing is really cool, really great, extremely valid. I'm only so harsh on it because I feel like it already has it already comes ahead in people's mind. People already see it as a very valid route because it is a valid route towards, like, your goals as a writer, as a comic creator. However, it's not the only one, and there are downsides of it that you should be aware of. One thing that is a very good benefit of traditional publishing, or at the very least hanging around people who are in traditional publishing and keeping your door open to it, is that there is lots of networking opportunities. There's lots to learn. I totally hang around these people. I mean, I do, and I encourage you to do so. If you're a comic creator, definitely get into the comic arts festivals. They're all over the place, and, like, there's, like, the Indie Press Expo, or what is it? Small Press Expo is really good to start talking to people. TCAF is a really big, powerful one. That's this weekend too. So if you are in the Toronto area, I totally recommend going to TCAF and just getting kind of immersed in this community. One of the big things I've kind of come to realize after a few years of doing this is that the publishing world is actually ridiculously small. And a lot of people know each other, and it's good to just be a part of it, be aware of what's going on, be aware of different people, their experiences, and just learn from them, absorb information. And yeah, I don't hate on traditional publishing, but it's not always the best option for you. And it's not the only option, okay? You don't have to feel bad as a person if you don't ever get traditionally published, you know? Take your path, your artistic career like regardless of which direction you take, it's gonna take time, and it's usually just gonna build up slowly. There are very rare exceptions where you become J.K. Rowling or whatever, but usually it's just you're creating and you just keep moving forward and you keep building momentum slowly over time, just building your audience, all humble and stuff, regardless of which path you take. Okay, so before I leave, I'm going to talk very personally about why I self-publish. And it's not exactly for the lack of trying, okay? Okay, it's partly the lack of trying. The main reason I don't traditionally publish, and I haven't been traditionally published, is that I really hate pitching, honestly. I love making pitches. I love selling stuff. Like, I love building, like, the Kickstarter pages. I like making all of that sort of promotional material. And I like making pitches, okay? That's fine. I don't like pitching in the sense that I have zero patience. Okay, actually, I have a lot of patience, but the publishing industry is way too slow for the amount of patience I have. I have sent out all sorts of query letters, and I send out pitches, and I still do. And I have gotten rejection letters, which is fine. Note on rejection letters, it doesn't mean that you're a bad person. It doesn't even mean that you're a bad writer. It's just not what they're looking for at that time. That's fine. That's super cool. It's not about you as a writer, okay? I have tons of people who read my stories and enjoy them, so I'm fine. Okay, another side note, as someone who has done like editorial kind of work, like through like the Moonlight anthology that I've worked on, and I've worked on a few other sort of collaborative works, I think you get a really good feel of what editors and agents are looking for, and it might not necessarily have anything to do with you. Like, I have rejected some really amazing pieces that just weren't what I was looking for. So yeah, always have that in the back of your mind. You're just kind of looking to strike lightning. That's fine. That's cool. Okay. But my problem is that I've had a few pieces where I put them on pitch, I put them out on submission, and I've had it happen where I've waited like 6 months for one, which is fine. It was all the full manuscript I've submitted. I've had like one that was like a 6-month wait. I've had one that was like a 1.5 year wait. And then I had one recently where it was a 4-year wait. And I can't do it. I really can't. And by can't do it, I mean, I can't put my life on hold waiting for traditional publishing to kind of like keep up with my creativity. And like, I understand why it's so slow, but it doesn't work for me. So that's really the main reason that I do self-publishing, is that it is ridiculously fast. It is like lightning speed compared to traditional publishing. And I guess what I'm basically saying about that is that I'm willing to do traditional publishing. I have that door open, but I don't feel like I need it anymore. And I'd be really excited to work with a publisher in the future, but I don't really have the time and like the patience to seek it out all the time. I'd rather just be creating the things that I want to create and just have the door open and maybe submit a pitch or two, but like not focus on it so hard. It's really hard. Like, creating a comic takes up so much of my life that I can't really just throw them out there all the time anymore. You know? That's fair. Is that fair? I think that's fair. It's not a reason to hold off on self-publishing for me, and I don't want to wait around doing that thing. Like, I just want to keep sharing stuff. I keep wanting to build my audience. And I think just sitting around waiting for acceptances and rejections can really just get in the way of like building your own audience and finding your creative voice. Like, I just can't do it personally behind the scenes. And I think I just gain a lot more experience by being out and open. And in the comicking space, this is incredibly common. Just look at the amount of webcomics out there. So yeah, just work on what you love, and, you know, don't judge yourself based on whether you are traditionally or self-published. You know, define success how you want to define it. It doesn't have to make sense to your grandma for it to be the right path for you, okay? And one last thing before I even like sign off, like I keep saying one last thing, but please be very vigilant of shady dealings. This isn't like an attack on traditional publishing at all. This is like shady people. There's all sorts of these quote unquote publishers that exist, these little independent things, and some of them have the best intentions, but a lot of them are just in it to take advantage of artists and writers that really, really want to get published because, again, a lot of people see getting accepted by a publisher as a mark of success, which is cool. But man, a lot of these people would be like, I don't even want to lump them in with traditional publishing. They're just kind of bad. Okay. Never submit your work to an agent or a publishing house that makes you pay a fee to get your work looked at. Like, never do that. That is not standard practice. It should be free to submit to the person. And if it isn't, that's not a good deal at all. Never take a deal that sounds like too good to be true. And regardless, like, make friends, like I said before, make friends that you trust and talk about these sort of deals you're approached with before you go like head first into them. Like, and if you have a really bad gut feeling about something, like something seems off about this publisher you're going to, like you've never heard of them before, they don't have a lot like visible on like a website, like you can't see anything of their authors, you don't know anything about it, like stay away. Trust your gut first and foremost. You could be heading into a really bad situation, so please be very careful, because like I said, the allure of being published is really strong, and it's really easy to have like sparkle eyes and be really excited about this new opportunity, and I'm finally going to get traditionally published, and they could just be taking you for a ride. And don't do that. I want you to be safe, and you need to look out for yourself. Like, this isn't your only chance to ever get published, and it's sad to admit to yourself sometimes that something is like fake or a scam, but you know, do it for your own good. Trust your gut. And like I said, don't feel bad about self-publishing. Like, the feeling that if you aren't going through a traditional publishing house, that you're a bad person and you're not successful, is kind of what these people bank on. These people who kind of want to scam you or think they can help you but can't, you know? Like I said, the paths to publishing, they are plentiful. Enjoy them. There's always Kickstarter. I have a novel on Kickstarter right now. There's 6 days left. Help me fund it. There's my obligatory pitch. Thank you for watching. I'll see you guys next week because I have a OC story time, the very last one, on the final day of the Kickstarter, about our last character for the watercolors. And next week, Ursula has a tutorial video for you. So there you go. We're taking turns bi-weekly. Ursula 1 week, Bones the other week, so we're gonna space it all out. I hope you like that, because I need a nap. Alright, see you guys next time. Goodbye.